Welcome to the What I Wish I Knew After Pregnancy Loss podcast. I am your host, Sharna Southan. I am an angel mum, a rainbow mum, a pregnancy loss practitioner, and trauma-informed coach. I created the Institute of Healing Through Pregnancy Loss out of my own experience with loss in the hopes to provide understanding and healing, educating people on pregnancy loss, and creating more women or men in trained support roles. In this podcast, I hope to shed light on what I wish I knew in relation to pregnancy loss, opening up the conversation, breaking the stigma, and bringing real-life stories plus guest experts. Thank you for being here with me today, and let's dive into today's episode. Hello, beautiful souls. Today's episode is part 2 of a 2-part podcast episode. So if you haven't already, I encourage you to go back and listen to part 1. And I hope that you find value in part 2 of this interview as well. Now let's dive in. So why can't that just be a little bit more transparent in terms of this is what I believe most women experience, but this is what could happen. And if this is the thing that you're experiencing, make sure that you go and seek further help. And I do believe that that should start at the very beginning, which is, and it comes from, you have your ultrasound, you get told there's no heartbeat, and you go and see the doctor and get them to explain what that all means. And I think because we're so, for me and for you too, it was your first pregnancy when it happened. So you think, well, I don't actually know what to ask. What do I say? So I'm hoping that the more that we can talk about it, the more women will be in those situations where they can say, okay, well, I've heard about this, and maybe present them with some ways that they can advocate for themselves in those very initial moments of when it's all happening.
Yeah, and then like another layer of that, I wish that there was just more ample communication. So on my last one for the past Thanksgiving, obviously I'm not at home. I don't have my BFF OBGYN. I had to find a loner who may or may not have been on the C team because it's Thanksgiving Day, so none of the cool doctors or the super upscale doctors are working. So I'm like, oh great, I get the E team. So we're sitting there, and come to find out that the only reason I traveled was because they said I was so far along with her that there was a less than 2% chance that my body would pass her on my own. So go enjoy the holidays, get through what I can, and come back for the DNC. Cool. I'm like the 2%. So I start to go into labor, and I call, and she's like, and I talk to the ER lady on call or whatever, and she says, yeah, your body just must be really intuitive. So you're gonna have to get it done up there. Okay. Bells and whistles, but also not trying to panic. So hospital 1 doesn't do DNCs. Hospital 2 go through, well, they could find an infection. So they already know I'm going into labor. They find an infection. They scheduled the DNC for Thanksgiving night, and then we start on antibiotics. What would you think would be the next part to that process? Because for me, my next process would be, let's identify the infection so we can know what we're dealing with instead of just tossing blank page antibiotics, IV antibiotics like rapid fire. Well, they do a culture, and they send it away, and they say, yes, there's an infection. And then it stopped. Nobody took the time to culture it out more to identify what the infection was. So not only was I left with this experience, I didn't have any answers because it was just like, oh, well, nothing that we can do is going to make this situation better. So for me, I like to know why things happen. And so I was continually grasping, trying to Google, and then obviously don't do that because you have meningitis, you have cancer, you have all these horrible things, and you can have all these diseases that don't even correlate to your ovaries. So don't Google. 0 out of 10 recommend that situation. But then I'm trying to read the lab results and figure out what kind of bacteria rods did they find so I can figure this out on my own because I want to be able to prevent things like that in the future. But I talked to the doctor, and she's like, yeah, it's not typical practice for us to culture it out and figure out the infection. We just identify there's an infection and the protocol is to go to the antibiotics. Okay, well, that feels legitimate and healthy. So I came back to my normal OBGYN with 1,010 questions. How do I know the infection is gone? How will you identify if I have an infection moving forward? How do I know I'm not going to drop dead sitting here because you still have after effects of bleeding after you get done with the surgery? So they sent me home, still ample bleeding. Nobody could tell me if I still had an infection or not. What kind of asinine thing is going on here? So I came back. My OBGYN had to do all of these additional follow-ups, and every day for like 3 weeks, I sat there thinking any symptom I got, I was gonna just croak and go straight to the Lord because I was so paranoid because no one could give me any answers. And I just find it so frustrating that they don't have the proper policies, procedures, protocols, because there's insurance and there's politics and there's way that you do things, and it feels very in favor of the hospital and not in favor of what you might be going through. And that's a scary thing to feel just at any given moment, that you don't know if you got an infection from this or that, or did they give you enough antibiotics? Were you discharged too soon? Should you have stayed another day instead of drove 9 hours back home? It's all just guesswork, and it's all just trying to figure it out as you go along. And you would think in modern medicine we'd be just maybe like a hair farther along, but we're not. We're really not. And it has been very eye-opening in that sense on how to navigate and process and just be my own biggest advocate, I guess.
It sucks that you get put in these situations for you to figure that out for yourself. I was in a sort of similar situation in terms of just being through the hospital system, having the DNC, and then getting sent home. Okay, bye. No, nothing for me physically, emotionally, mentally, going home after that type of experience with nothing and no follow up. You are left to your own devices, and definitely copying and pasting, things from medical reports into Google does not help, because it leaves you with, like you said, 1,000 more questions. And then you just like, you think, okay, there's something seriously wrong with me now. But there should be more ways that they can follow you up after leaving. There's once you've left, you've left. That's it. And then it's up to you, but you're grieving, you're in a really bad sort of mental, physical, like this just whirlwind of stuff. You're not necessarily going to think, oh, I need to figure all of this out. I need to, move forward. I need to go and see the doctors. You're not in a state of mind where that all makes sense. Everything is still so clouded and foggy, and you're emotional, and you're not going to be in that state where you're like, okay, I need to watch my mental health. I need to watch my physical health. That only comes from being in a place of clarity and knowing what your next step is. But that's not where you are when you've left the hospital. With the way that, like you said, the politics and everything is for you right now, having that added element too of where do I go, who do I speak to, that can allow me to navigate and to move forward. Like you said before, it's a scary place right now, and I can only imagine what it would have been like for you to be in this position that you were, and to be turned away from hospitals because of the hospitals system. And yeah, just how much that would have added to your healing journey and being able to process everything as well.
Yeah, it was like you said, it comes from a place of clarity, and you don't have that. You don't have any sort of, I think you get like a cool piece of paper with your vitals that they like send you on home with, and you're like, okay, well, great, I don't have a temperature. What about the catastrophic mental demise that I feel? No paper for that? Solid. So it's broken. I mean, I don't know what else to say other than the fact that it's broken in that sense. Now, I think that they should have a mental health professional follow up with you. I think that there should be a something that warns you how many days after you're going to bleed for how many days, not just a piece of paper that says you could experience this. You can still get cramps. And but to add insult to injury, and I laugh because what else am I supposed to do at this point? But actually I went back to my normal OBGYN because I was like, I'm still bleeding a lot here and I'm not convinced that I'm not dying or have like the bird flu or something catastrophic because I've been on Google for 17 days and I need you to just get in there and see what's going on. So she goes in there and there's actually a piece of placenta that was left from the surgery that was causing me to bleed more. You had one job and you didn't do that part of it. But you charged me 50 grand, so that's pretty great. So she removed it. She talked me off the ledge about how I wasn't going to die. She had done all the blood work and everything else. And so she scheduled, how after everything happens, they monitor your HCG. And so you're supposed to go back and like get so many blood draws to watch your HCG fall. I didn't make an appointment. I didn't go back for any of that. And she actually had my personal number from her personal number and she texted me and she's like, "You really need to come in and make your appointment." I was like, "Tracy, not today. Like, I need you to worry about something else." And I didn't go back because at that point, I was just so angry with the failure. And that wasn't on her, that was on the other hospital. But I was just so angry from the lack of communication, the whole scenario, having to guide myself out of this deep hole that I didn't want to be in. Their system didn't talk to her system, so she couldn't get these access to this charts, and they couldn't see this x-ray or the ultrasound to confirm this and that, and they had to do all these things over again. And it's like, we can literally coordinate anything we want on Facebook and Instagram, but you all can't have a universal healthcare system that talks to one another. Let's be honest. Give it to Mark Zuckerberg. He'll figure it out. Like, let's figure it out. I just don't understand. Call me. I love operations. I'll fix it for you. It was so infuriating to me to be in that place. And I told her, I was like, "I'm not coming back." And I haven't. And if she ever hears this, I know she will text me, but I'm not going back because I've been through it before. I know what it feels like when your HCG levels go from really, really high to really, really low. I can monitor it myself. I'm not gonna not only that, my deductible reset, so I'm not gonna pay $100 for you to take my blood every single time when I know I can sit at my house and monitor it for $4 from Walgreens, let's be honest. But they don't tell you that. And then I don't want to go and sit in a room filled with pregnant women all around me to go get pricked, paid, and insulted. If I wanted to do that all day long, I'd hang out with my 4-year-old. I don't want to be beat up and tortured and all of these things. So if you ever feel like you are in a spot where you can't speak up and advocate for yourself with the politics or all of that, for the love of all things, call me. Praisdale, I will walk you through it. I will do whatever is necessary because we need almost like a woman's advocate during that situation. Somebody who can be your advocate and hold your hand and speak the language between the doctor, the anesthesiologist, and you, and be that halfway point. You pretty much get one when you're in labor, but you don't get one whenever you miscarry. That doesn't make any logical sense to me. Like, somebody open a hospital budget, thank me later, hire this person, and let me know how your ratings and reviews go up because I promise you that's all we need is an advocate or somebody to say, "This is okay, this is scary, you can cry, you can do this, you don't really have to do this, you do have to do this," and explain it on just a very mental health cognizant term. That's all I would have wanted. And now I'm like, how can I get into the mental health like hospital system? Because I think I could figure this out by myself while talking through this podcast. But it is what it is. You figure it out as you go along. And I've been able to grow really good, strong community on my podcast for about mess to mission that, people can come talk about their messes and how they turned it into a mission. If anyone hires a miscarriage advocate because of this episode, call me. I'll interview you. Like, We can figure it out together, but it's going to be a woman that's going to have to put that position into place. I can almost guarantee it because we need it. And we need somebody who says, this is going to feel like contractions. This is going to feel like blood everywhere. It's going to look like a hot dang crime scene in here. And you might not have the energy to do anything afterwards. This is going to feel like this, not send us home and wish us the best. Like, we are the reason that the world is repopulated and reproduced. A little respect never killed anybody. And I could get on that soapbox, but you don't have enough time for that. So,
One in 4 pregnancies will result in miscarriage. 1 in 8 women will experience infertility. 1 in 100 women will experience recurrent miscarriage. And 1 in 160 births end in stillbirth. Have you been wanting to make a difference in the lives of women or men who have experienced pregnancy loss because you can see so many suffering in silence, but you just don't know how? Collectively, we can change how bereaved parents can access mental, physical, and emotional support after their experience. There is a lot of women with unhealed trauma, and there is a huge gap in the current support system when it comes to bereaved parents' recovery after loss. There are too many women and men suffering in silence. The Pregnancy Loss Practitioner Certification is a worldwide, one-of-a-kind program that gives you proven methods designed for healthcare professionals, medical staff, midwives, nurses, doulas, birth workers, coaches, and angel parents alike. The Pregnancy Loss Practitioner Certification is bridging that gap. It will give you a proven support structure to follow and education specific to pregnancy loss, created by a lost mum. It is creating more education specifically for loss so that you can enhance your service and become the point of difference. Or you can create the support that you so desperately needed in your healing after loss. This is the next level of growth and expansion you have been searching for. So does this sound like something that you have been searching for? Let's explore this more together. You can head to the episode show notes where you'll find the program application, or direct message me on Instagram and let's open up the conversation in how you can use this education. You have a gift, and I look forward to supporting you and witnessing you bring your gift to the world, healing and transforming women's lives. I was just going to say I could speak to you forever about all of this. There might be a follow-up, maybe podcast episode. But you spoke about obviously your podcast, Mess to Mission. Do you want to just share a little bit about that and obviously where that podcast obviously is found and where people can find and connect with you as well?
yeah, absolutely. So, my podcast is Mess to Mission. It's found on Apple Podcast and Spotify, and it's basically everyone's mess to triumph, or anything that anybody has gone through as a business owner, personal trauma. I've had addicts on there, people who have been human trafficked, people who have gone through miscarriages, people in the foster system, people who have lost their parents, their childhood cancer. I've talked to pretty much every walk of life, and they've been able to survive and triumph. So those are the platforms that I find myself best on. And then on Instagram, I am at Linds.Paulson. So at LINDS .PAULSON. And I am more than happy to connect with anybody. Just send me a DM. I will be your advocate and I will fight for you because I wish somebody had fought for us.
Essentially what we need, isn't it? Like we need someone who is on the other side of it to go, this is what you need to do. This is how you need to say the things. This is, how to speak up for yourself. Because in those moments when you are in the depths of like your life falling apart, it doesn't feel like you can do anything. You're like, nope, I don't understand what's happening. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say. So to have that person or to have just that touch point even of someone to say, you can do this, this is potentially what you can do. This is what you can say. This is what you can ask. And this is potentially also what you can expect. So we do absolutely need someone to be that middle person, or to advocate, help us advocate. So just one last question. What do you wish you knew before experiencing pregnancy loss?
One thing oh gosh, I could write a whole book about this. Probably the biggest thing that I wish I would knew is that, and you kind of already know this, I think in your gut, but you're gonna be triggered afterwards. You're gonna see somebody's birthing announcement. You're gonna see somebody have a baby. You're gonna be invited to your best friend's baby shower. You're gonna be invited to all of these things, and you're going to be, that's okay to be upset about that. It's okay to communicate to your best friend, to your neighbor, to whomever, hey, I'm really happy for you, but I'm just not in a season where I can celebrate this right now because I have experienced this or I have grieved. I have a little bit stronger, like D personality on the DISC assessment, so I feel like I communicate strongly with these situations, but maybe you don't. But it's okay to say, I'm just not in a season for that. I'm not in a season to go to a birthday party. I'm not in a season to do this, that, or the other, but you will get out of that season. At the end of the day, at the end of the month, at the end of the year, that season will leave and you will be able to move to the next season, which will look completely different. But it's okay to give yourself that time, that grace, and that space to say, I can't be there for you and I can't be your support person for whatever reason at that time. Doesn't mean forever, but right now, this is my time to heal, and I need you to respect that. And you'll be surprised at how many people will say, totally get it, totally understand, instead of kind of like pigeonholing yourself and just not communicating the reason of those things. But I wish I had known how easy it was on the first few to say, not the season. Now I think all my close friends and family are like, she ain't gonna do that. But in the beginning, it was finding that balance of what I felt comfortable doing. And it was actually one of my best friends. She had had a miscarriage, and I walked with her through that season. And then during my little fourth miscarriage, she actually had a baby. And she did not bring her baby around me. She did not invite me to those things because she said, I knew in that season you were not well and I didn't want to amplify that for you. And she knew that I couldn't celebrate her the way that I wanted to. And that was probably the biggest gift as a friend that she could have given me, because now I love that baby. Oh my goodness, I want to love all over her. But in that moment, I I didn't have the strength to be with her in that season. And I just wish somebody would have said, that's okay. That season will pass and that's okay. And you don't have to do everything. And you will get to a better season and it will be great.
I think that's so important, just to give yourself permission in those moments to say no and be okay with that. And I think that's a very, very hard thing for some to do, is to say no. So they say yes instead, and it goes against everything that they're almost viscerally feeling in their body. So you put it so nicely too, the way that you would communicate that. And I think if someone's listening, definitely, being able to take on board what you said, obviously doing it in a way that feels good for you as a person. Like you said, the most times people will be understanding of what you're going through. And if they're not, it's also not a reflection on you. It's a reflection on them. So if they don't accept that, boundary that you're putting in place, it's not to say that it's any fault of your own. But I think that's a very important thing, because you don't realize, you like you said, you kind of almost partly know, but you don't realize how big of an effect it's going to have on you, like emotionally, physically, mentally. And as much as you want to be there for them, you can be, when, like you said, when that season passes, and you will be in such a better place to show up for them, and potentially their children as well. So thank you for sharing that.
Yes, thank you. And thank you so much for just allowing me to come on here and kind of talk about everything. And I've like kept you for like 17 hours of your life, so I'm so sorry, but I could talk about this all day, every day. So, I mean, it's been a season. It's been multiple seasons. It's been seasons of hell, it's been seasons of greatness. So, if it helps one person just say, I'm going to take that note, I'm going to do that thing, I'm going to use that phrase, it's worth it.
Yeah. And I think sometimes too, hearing someone else say it who's been through it, you're just like, oh, I can do that. I'm allowed to
Hmm.
do that.
Yeah, the best thing that one of my therapists said is like on one of them, and then I swear I'll stop talking. is I got some of my sweet friends gave me like all of these grieving books and all of these miscarriage books, and I got all this literature, and I love to read, but that was a time. And she said, I am giving you permission to put those away. I'm giving you permission to put those away. Do not open them. Do not look at them. You do not have to read them because they are a gift. You do not have to use them. You can throw them in the trash. I'm giving you permission to be free of that visceral reaction, like
Mm.
you said, to getting this gift. So you just give yourself permission. It's fine. It's totally fine.
And, the more we can talk about it, the more we kind of can create like a little rule book type thing of what you can give yourself permission to do, how you potentially will feel in these moments. And like you said, and for me, when people give me gifts, I'm like, I don't want to get rid of them. But then if they're not serving you, if they're keeping you stuck, if they're keeping you in pain, even though the intention of that gift was nice and good and they probably put a lot of thought into it. If it doesn't help you, then you don't have to hang on to it. And you can put it somewhere on the shelf that you don't necessarily look, or you can put them in the bin or do whatever you feel like. But you have the permission to release yourself from the obligation to hold it just because it was a gift from someone. So I love that too. It's something that, again, I wish that I was told through my healing and life after loss, because those moments you're just like, holy crap, what do I do? How do I say this and how do I do that? And you just kind of feel like you're this new person trying to figure out life again. But just to honor yourself in those moments and really listen to what it is that you feel like you need.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to thank you, Lindsey, for being a part of the What I Wish I Knew After Pregnancy Loss podcast.
Well, I appreciate being on it. I could probably be episode like 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. So I'm really apologetic, but also low key not. So you just call me anytime.
I want to keep the conversations real, raw, and honest, and to know that there is support for you. If you need it, there's people that you can call on in those moments of your life, in those moments of those appointments or interactions or triggers or anything that you feel like is too big and too heavy. There are people out there that can help you through that.
Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. Thank you to all that have listened in. If this episode was valuable to you, I invite you to leave a review on Apple Podcasts, and I look forward to supporting you on the next episode. Thank you for listening in with me today. I hope you found this episode helpful. If you did, I would absolutely love to hear from you. Take a screenshot of this episode, share it to social media, and tag me at Institute of Healing_PL. I love seeing what is resonating with you right now. If you want to chat further, I invite you to connect with me through Instagram. Head over and follow my Instagram account, send me a DM, and let's open the communication. If you want to know more about how you can be the support for others, head to the show notes and fill out the application form for the Pregnancy Loss Practitioner certification. I want to also note here that what I share within the episodes is not medical advice. If you need further support, please consult your doctor. Thank you again. Much love to you. Be gentle with yourself, and I look forward to supporting you on the next episode.